What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So I want to talk to you about the truth regarding the $10,000 in stimulus, because over the past couple of years, right, 2+ years, millions and millions of Americans have been promised additional relief. They've been asking for additional stimulus, and early on the money was flowing pretty freely, but then it all stopped. And until recently, there really hasn't been a way to pass any significant amounts of stimulus. Well, this gets me to what's potentially coming very soon. The reports are indicating that the Biden administration has a plan, and that plan is not a bribe. Here's what I want you to know. Right now, the plan is to actually forgive up to $10,000 in student loan forgiveness. Now, I want to touch on this and explain why this is such a big deal, both for Democrats and Republicans. Because up until recently, the Biden administration didn't say whether or not they had the ability to even forgive this debt. Keep in mind, there were many representatives, Democratic representatives, that were asking last year for an answer. Give us an answer. We give you 30 days. Let us know, can you forgive up to $10,000 in student debt? President Biden, he wrote to the education department, and we got nothing. And then, about 6 months ago, then we start to see the memo coming out from the education department. And guess what? It's heavily redacted. It's just a bunch of black streaks all across the paper. They didn't tell us nothing. Well, Republicans, they question this. They question this because all of a sudden, Democrats have some newfound knowledge that now they have the ability to cancel more than $10,000 in student debt. And now some are questioning, is this a bribe to get the American people on the Democrat side to vote for them in this upcoming midterm election? Now, I want to fill you in on some of the truth surrounding the $10,000 in stimulus, because here's what we know. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, they state that $10,000 in student loan forgiveness would cost the United States government $321 billion. Okay? Now, some argue that we are not in a financial situation to just let $321 billion just vanish. But here's the other thing. Right now, this $321 billion of funding, okay, or money that could potentially be coming in, the issue that we are going to face is, right now, Congress was supposed to pass this, get enough support to pass this, whether this was through a bipartisan bill, which would never happen, or a budget reconciliation bill, which only needs 51 votes, which just means every single Democratic senator. Now, that didn't even get enough support. There's not even 51, but not even 50 Senate Democrats that support for giving up to $10,000 in student debt. That's the problem. This is why some are arguing that we cannot let $321 billion just vanish. It just can't happen. Now, according to the Democratic Representative James Clyburn, he says, and I quote, "Forgiving student loan borrowers would stimulate the economy in many ways." And this would. Keep in mind that the average student loan borrower is paying about $400 per month. Okay, was paying $400 per month. Currently, we're in a payment pause. Nobody's making payments. Now, we're not seeing our economy struggle, right? The economy's flourishing. And so some are worried that what happens if now these student loan borrowers have the $400, but they are not being asked to pay it back. What happens then? Do they just go and spend it? And if they do, would that cause additional inflation? Some say yes. Some say yes, it would. Now, here's what the White House is planning on doing. In order to combat additional inflation, give debt forgiveness to somebody that's making $1 million or more, they're trying to put in limits. So here's what the White House is considering. they're considering excluding relief for loans that were taken out for professional degrees. For example, these would be things like law, or even some in the field of medicine, right? To become a doctor, become a lawyer. They say no, those are professional degrees. You would be excluded from this forgiveness. But they could also limit the aid to undergraduate degrees only. That's it. Only undergraduate loans. Anything more than that, nope, you are disqualified. You are not eligible for forgiveness. The other limitation, and this is something that's just coming out, is they are considering income limits. This would mean anybody that makes anywhere between $125,000 to $150,000 per year for an individual, if you make, and again, it's either 125 or 150, we don't know yet, right? They're still discussing this. That's going to be one of the limits for individuals. A lot of people qualify for that. The other one is $250,000 to $300,000 per year for a couple filing jointly. So those are big limits. Okay, no professional degrees, only undergraduate loans, less than $150,000 for an individual, under $300,000 for a couple, right? These are the issues that we're facing, and a lot of people don't realize what would forgiving $10,000 in student debt do. Could potentially cause inflation. It could cause more people to go out there and go to college and rack up debt and hope that, well, they get forgiven again. That's a possibility. The other thing is, what does this do for other people that do not have student debt? People on Social Security. That was the other promise that President Biden made. He hasn't done anything for them. What about veterans? What about people, again, and I bring up veterans because I have many friends that signed up to go to the military, fight for our country, which, God bless them and everything that they've done. But here's the issue. Some signed up for that because they were promised that then, okay, if they do that, then they could go to school for whatever it is that they want. That's what they were promised. So they were promised that, okay, you sign up for the military, we will pay for your schooling. And a lot of them, it didn't happen. And so for other people that just went straight to school, racked up all this debt, and now they're just going to give it forgiven? I don't know. We'll see what happens. But the big question is, if this gets done, because it will not pass through Congress. It's not going to pass through Congress. But it could be done through an executive order under one signature. President Biden. That's it. So, if this happens, let's say within the next 3 months, would you consider this a bribe to try to get the American people to vote for Democrats? Or do you think that this is just the way it kind of fell? That it's just taken so long? Curious what your thoughts are. Is it a bribe or no? Let me know down in the comment section below. But again, that's all I got for you guys today. That is the truth regarding up to $10,000 in stimulus for student loan forgiveness. If you have any questions whatsoever, ask your questions down in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys on the next one.